Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Friday edition of Source 16 News. I'm Eddie Owen. Thanks for joining us. After a decade, the family of a murdered Trigg County woman may be able to rest a little easier tonight after a grand jury indicted a Cadiz man wanted in connection with her death. On Tuesday, 39-year-old Claude Russell of Cadiz was indicted by the Trigg County grand jury after they found enough evidence presented by a state police detective. In June 2002, Chantel's body was found in a field off Bearfield Road behind her mother's home with multiple gunshot wounds. On June 29th, the family of Chantel held a Chantel Matters Gone But Not Forgotten event at the Trigg County Recreational Complex to keep her memory alive. At that time, Sheriff Ray Burnham indicated to Source 16 there could be a break in the case soon.
Last week I had a meeting with Mr. Olby and Detective Silfies, and progress is being made. I was asked and respect to keep it at that as far as that, but I've spoken with Chantel's family some more, and I think real progress is being made, and I think that this case will, that Chantel will have justice.
A warrant was issued for Russell today, but he has not been located, although police believe he is still in the Cadiz Trigg County area. So police need your help in finding Russell. Anyone with information of Russell's whereabouts should contact state police at 1-800-222-5555. Well, the governor's race continues to heat up in the Commonwealth, with incumbent Democrat Steve Beshear facing a challenge from Republican Senate President David Williams in the general election this fall. Williams, a longtime critic of the governor, visited Source 16 this afternoon and commented about why he thinks he is the man to lead Kentucky in a different direction.
Well, Kentucky has double-digit unemployment, and we just aren't competitive as a state with other states anymore to keep jobs and to create jobs. I think it's of the utmost importance that we have a governor who has an aggressive agenda to create jobs in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Except for your faith and your health, nothing more is more important in an individual's life than having a well-paying job. So we're in competition with Tennessee and the other states. Tennessee doesn't have a personal income tax, has a much better business environment, and we've lost thousands of jobs over the last 4 years under the administration of Steve Beshear. And I want to make a difference in people's lives by making sure they have an opportunity to have employment and stay here in Kentucky.
We also asked Williams about the climate of the election and what he expects from the Beshear-Abramson campaign.
Well, as we record this statement here today, Governor Beshear is avoiding any joint appearances. He avoided appearing with me in front of the County Judges Commissioners organization up in Northern Kentucky. He refused to appear in a joint forum with me at the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce, at the Conservation organization, a lot of joint appearances. So it would appear that it's the governor's plan to try not to make a joint appearances, to avoid as many debates as possible, and depend upon a superior fundraising capacity he thinks he has to present himself as a progressive governor. But anyone who knows anything about state government in Kentucky or the economic circumstances know that Governor Beshear has not had an agenda, that he's not been an effective governor, and that to change Kentucky, we're going to need some bold leadership, and I hope to be provided with the opportunity to provide that bold leadership for the Commonwealth.
You can see our complete interview with David Williams next Wednesday at 5 on The Scene. Well, the Christian County grand jury indicted several people who were recently charged with various charges, including assault and robbery. Laura Settles of Bethel Street is charged with one count of first-degree assault. She is accused of engaging in conduct which created grave risk of death to Kevin Pollard by stabbing him multiple times on April 8th in the back and chest at his residence. Two of her co-defendants, Shalisha Settles and Tiara Harris, were previously arrested and charged in connection to the stabbing. And the grand jury indicted former Hopkinsville High School student, 18-year-old Ekendayo Cousins of East 18th Street, with first-degree robbery, probation violation, and fourth-degree assault. According to his indictment, he's accused of using or threatening immediate physical force on a Hopkinsville man while committing theft, while armed with a deadly weapon or dangerous instrument. Meanwhile, Edward Carr of Crofton was indicted on one count of sodomy for allegedly forcing an underage girl to perform sexual favors on him between March 1st through March 31st of this year. Christian County Sheriff's deputies say he refused to give a statement after his arrest. And the grand jury indicted Benjamin Murray of Bluebird Court on first-degree robbery, assault, and wanton endangerment charges. On May 10th, he's accused of using physical force while committing a theft and shooting at another male. In addition, Michael Thomas of Village Green Drive was indicted on 4 counts of third-degree burglary and 1 count of second-degree criminal mischief. He's accused of unlawfully entering several Hopkinsville businesses on April 23rd with the intent to commit a crime. Well, nearly 11,000 customers lost electricity this morning when a bird hit a regulator at the TVA Cadiz substation. Penny Royal Electric spokesman Brent Gilkey told Source16 the power outage occurred around 6 o'clock and affected 10,913 customers served by the Cadiz, Canton, Cerulean, PD, and Rockcastle substations. Gilkey said all power was restored to customers by 6:45. Well, Christian County students are making positive strides and are improving their state test scores. According to data released this morning by school officials, the number of students enrolled and testing in advanced placement courses has steadily increased in the past 5 years. In 2010, 343 students took AP test compared to 498 this year. The newly released data also indicates more students are performing higher on AP test. Last year, 97 students were considered qualified or extremely qualified in the courses, compared to 160 students this year. Superintendent Brady Link said 6 schools have also made double-digit gains, and 5 schools in the 2009-10 school year received scores above 100.
Certainly indicates that the high-performing kids are doing great work and improving, and more of them are getting involved in that. So I think that's a significant factor. We've got to get all kids where we need to be, but we can't not keep working on the kids who are high performers. And so I think part of the AP exam, part of the reason the AP exam is a good indicator that our kids who really can perform at high levels are doing so, and they're doing that while we are also gaining for those kids who are not AP, not in AP yet.
In addition, the school district has offered more AP classes to students. Last year, the school district had 12 AP courses compared to 16 this year. Meanwhile, 6 schools in the district have earned double-digit gains in the annual Kentucky Core Content Test, or KCCT, with the exception of Christian County High School. And the school district has closed the gap between African American and Caucasian students on ACT scores. In 2008, the average test score for African American students was 14.8 compared to 15.4 this year, while the average test score for Caucasians in 2008 was 18.6 compared to 18.8 this year. School officials say their ultimate goal is to have all students score at least a 20 on the annual ACT test. A Madisonville man is facing charges after he was hit and injured by a train in Hopkins County last night. Around 9:25, Hopkins County Sheriff's deputies responded to the CSX Railroad crossing at Highway 2171, 1 mile south of Madisonville, where 36-year-old Christopher Nall had been hit by a train. According to the conductor, Nall was walking toward the train and ignored the warning from the train whistle and was hit. Nall was transported by ambulance to the emergency room at Regional Medical Center in Madisonville, where he was treated and released for leg injuries. He was then charged by the sheriff's deputy for criminal trespassing and alcohol intoxication and was booked into the Hopkins County Jail. A Callaway County man is facing a number of charges, including driving under the influence after crashing his vehicle into a ditch yesterday. State police say 60-year-old William Atherton of Almo was traveling on Almo Road when his vehicle left the roadway and came to finally rest in a ditch. Atherton is charged with aggravated driving on a DUI suspended license, aggravated driving under the influence, failure to surrender revoked operator's license, and 2 counts of prescription medication not in proper container. Police say Atherton was treated on the scene and transported by ambulance to Lourdes Hospital. In a report we brought you last night at 10, Callaway County officials have released the name of the toddler who died in a house fire Wednesday morning. Officials say the cause of death of 2-year-old Peyton Bond has not been determined, but foul play is not suspected, and his body was taken to Louisville for an autopsy. State Fire Marshal Investigator Bill Compton was back on the scene today to continue his investigation into the cause of the fire. Around 7 o'clock Wednesday morning, firefighters responded to a house fire in the Coldwater community on Morgan Drive. Authorities report Patty Bond and her boyfriend, Brad Bogard, were inside the home when the fire started and made it out alive, but were unable to reach the toddler to save him. The gambling industry in Kentucky took a step forward today as the Kentucky Horse Racing Commission approved the first expanded gambling games at a state horse track. Kentucky Downs in Franklin will be the first to offer wagering on historic horse races, or instant racing as it is commonly referred to. The track plans to offer the service, which involves betting on previously run races by machine, starting in September with its fall meet. When betting on the machine, the racetracks, horses, jockeys, or dates of the races are not identified by name. Kentucky Downs says the new service will allow them to add up to 85 new employees to support historical racing. In an ethics complaint filed Thursday, Republican candidate for Secretary of State Bill Johnson claims that the State Board of Elections is violating the Constitution. Johnson, who is from Elkton, filed the complaint based on the practice of allowing homeless people to vote without requiring an address. The complaint includes the board along with Secretary of State Elaine Walker. The board has said that voting applications should be approved if they have homeless or place-to-place as the address. Johnson's contention is that an address, even if it's a shelter, should be listed, claiming that to not do so opens elections to more possibilities of fraud. Johnson's complaint follows a national trend by Republican candidates and legislatures intent on tightening up voter practices and accepted procedures. Johnson's opponent, Democratic nominee Allison Lundergan Grimes, her campaign says they do not believe homeless people have to have a specific address to vote. Perennial candidate Gatewood Galbraith is preparing to enter the race for governor yet again. Galbraith, along with Lieutenant Governor candidate Dee Riley, are prepared to submit 7,500 signatures to the Secretary of State next Thursday to get on the November 8th ballot. Just 5,000 are needed. Galbraith, a 64-year-old Lexington attorney, has run for Commissioner of Agriculture, for governor 4 times, U.S. representative twice, and for attorney general. He's widely known for his stance on civil libertarian issues, as well as many years ago a platform that would legalize cannabis.